Yeah, so this morning I'm going to be sharing with you some easy but impactful ways to get the best out of this year, 2022. And I'm not sharing with you something that I'm not trying, or I have not tried myself. So you can be sure that whatever I'm sharing with you today are things that I have also shared myself. Lucky, is it possible to hide to profile the speaker? I'm just trying to see whether that is possible, so that Judith isn't to spotlight the speaker, so that because I'm only seeing Judith. So I'm going to be sharing my screen with you. I'm going to try as much as possible to make this as brief as I can. I would really, really, really encourage you to have a pen and a paper, because some of the things that we're going to be talking about today are things that you will have to write something down. I do really encourage you to actually write something down, because it will go a long way to make this presentation impactful for you, and also that you can learn a lot from it. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to send your question in the chat box, or you can wait to the end of the session to send in your question. So the title of my talk is New Year, New You, Setting Realistic Goals. Can people see my slide?
Yes, we can.
Okay,
yes.
Okay, thank you very much. New Year, New You. I know many of us we've heard this before. This name says it a lot. So let me guess. New Year, New You. And every January 1st, it's always on social media. New Year, New Me. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to be a better person. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to cook more. I'm going to read more. We set goals, and we just wanted to get this thing done. And the reason why we set goals is because we suddenly realized that there are a lot of things we wanted to do the year before that we couldn't bring ourselves to do. And so we just really wanted to just get it going. And then we build resolutions. We have lists of resolutions, and resolutions are just things that we wanted to do. These are 1, 2, 3 things I want to do this year, and these are the things I want to get done this year. Now, the challenge with that is that many of us, by 3rd week or 4th week of January, are really struggling with our resolutions. We are really, really struggling to fulfill them. And this is just the first month out of the 12 months of the year. And if by week 4 of 52 weeks, we are really struggling to keep up with some of the things that we set for ourselves, then that begs the question, what really is the issue? And what I have realized from my own personal life, it's not that I set those resolutions as the issue. The issue basically with it is that I fail to understand why those resolutions are important in the first place. And I also fail to understand or ask myself very important questions on why didn't I fulfill what I wanted to fulfill last year? And one of the things that I've come to realize is that, as human beings, right, we face a lot of challenges. Time, because we have 24 hours in a day. We have work. We have so many other things that are calling for our attention: relationship, jobs, friends, so many, social media, so many things demanding for our attentions. And then trying to also fulfill our New Year resolution can be quite overwhelming. And also because we built a relationship with resolution that is built around guilt. What do I mean by that? We see resolutions as things that we must do. And if we don't do them, we have failed. So we situate resolution within the spectrum of success and failure. And because of that, we put so much pressure on ourselves to succeed. We are not seeing resolution as things that we would love to do. It's not things that we must do. And this becomes the difference between the people that have built a healthy relationship around their lifestyles and the things that they want to achieve, and people that have built a toxic relationship around their lifestyles and the things that they want to achieve. And what I'm going to be trying to do today is to kind of take you on a journey to setting realistic goals. And I want you to know that no matter how challenging it might be, the goals that you will set today, just focus on asking yourself the fundamental question of, are my goals realistic? And what do I mean about realistic? So it could be like, for this year, I want to learn how to swim. But you realize that the nearest swimming pool to your house is about 5 kilometers, which you're going to spend 3 hours in traffic. If you do it twice, you realize that it's not worth the effort. You stop swimming, right? You stop going to learn how to swim. And then you realize that this goal is not actually realistic because there are things around you that will not make it possible. If your goal this year is to read 6 books, right? And you know that you have to buy those books. You don't have the resources to buy those books. You're not going to be able to read 6 books. But if you want to read 6 books, then you can say, my goal this year is to read 3 books, because I know realistically, I have the finances to buy 3 books and to read 3 books. And if eventually you get to read 6 books, then that is great. But you're looking at what you have within your environment that can help you achieve your goals. So one of the biggest mistakes we make in goal setting is that we tend to set unrealistic goals, and then we tend to struggle to be able to do that. So the question then is, how do we set these goals? Is it just saying, oh, I am going to do this, or no, I'm not going to do that? Or is it just very much about checking in with ourselves and asking ourselves the fundamental question: what is, how is, when is, where is, and why is? Because if we know the answers to these questions, it helps us to understand what is in our benefits. So why do I want to have this goal? What about this goal is important to my life? When can I start this goal? How can I start this goal? Who are the people that can help me to achieve whatever it is that I want to achieve with this goal? What are the potential obstacles to me not being able to achieve these goals? If we're able to ask ourselves these questions, it helps us to kind of understand what we're dealing with. It helps us to know our smarts, so we know our strength, we know our weakness, we know, the resources that are available to us, and then we know we can also set up the timeline, realistic timelines of how we want to do it. The other issue with, New Year resolution or New Year, New Me is the idea that, we feel like it has to start on the 1st of January. I mean, nobody says that. There's no rule book that says that your New Year resolution has to start on the 1st. You just have to say, by this time of the year, I want to have done this. So if I said that by 31st of December, I want to have had £100 in my bank account, then I can walk back to where I am now. Okay, so this is my salary. How much of my salary can I put aside that will help me to get to this in a way that when I put that money aside, it doesn't affect all other bills and expenses that I have in a year. And if you're able to do that, you realize that, maybe some months you need to put 50p and some months you need to put £100, depending on your expenses. And this kind of help you. And I guess that takes me to, to the question, who are you, right? Who am I? And this is going to be very important in answering or in setting realistic goals. You have to know yourself and you have to be very honest with yourself. You have to think of yourself in a very caring way. It's important you are gentle and you're caring to yourself. but you also want to be very open-minded about your goals, in the sense that what do you define as failure? So if you say that you wanted to have £100 in your bank account and you're able to have £60 in your bank account, are you defining that as a failure, or are you defining that as an achievement because you started anyway? So you have to be able to redefine what you mean by success, but also open your mind to possible opportunities that might come your way. You have to be kind with yourself. One of the biggest things that we do to ourselves is when we set goals and they don't come to pass, we tend to be very, very angry, upset with ourselves. And this kind of hampers us to be able to see beyond what is happening to us. And we have to see things even more in a very funny way, right? Life is hard already. It would be unfair for us to even be hard on ourselves. Let's see things in a very, very funny way. And so this session, that's what I'm going to be doing with you all today. So I'm going to implore you to please, please, please get yourself a pen and a paper. And the reason why I'm saying get yourself a pen and a paper is because you will need it. But also this session is being recorded, and I'm sure that the people that are in chat will be able to share the session with you. If you are on Facebook, I'm sure that you are also watching this session as it's happening at the moment. I hope so. And if you have any question, again, as we go along, don't forget to pop them in the question box below. So today I am going to be using this method to help us to set realistic goals. It's called GROW. As many of you know, I'm an executive and business coach. And in coaching, this is what we use to support our client to have clarity of what they want to do and how they want to do it. The G stand for goal. What are your goals for the year? The R stand for reality. Where are you now in regards to your goal? The O stand for options. Aside from this goal that you're setting, what are the other options that are available to you? And the W stand for will. What will you do now that you know what your wills are? And these are the things that I want us to practice today as we're getting along. So I guess the first thing I'm going to ask everybody to do is, on your paper, I want you to write nothing more than one goal, just one goal, nothing more than that. What is the one goal, one thing you would like to achieve this year? What is the one thing you would like to achieve this year? I want you to be very specific, right? Be very, very, very specific about that. It could be like, I want to get a degree. It could be like, I want to start an online classes. It could be like, I want to get a job. It could be like, I want to fall in love. Whatever it is, what is the one thing you want to achieve this year? I know that you will have so many things that you want to achieve, but I want you to be very, very specific about one thing, right? Write it down. And so the next thing is this, how would you like it to be? So this thing that you want to achieve, what will you define as success, right? What will success mean to you in this thing, right? When you say that I want to be in love, is it that I want to have a relationship? Is it that, oh, I'm able to go on a date? Will you consider that as a success? Or will you consider that I have a relationship going as a success? If you're saying that you want to get a job, will you consider the process that is applying for a job, getting interviews as a success, or will you consider the results as a success? And what do I mean by that? I now have a job. If you say you want to read 6 books, will you consider reading 6 books as a success, or will you consider reading 3 books as a success? Or even will you consider picking up a book to read in of itself as a success? So I really want you to define for you personally what success will mean to you regarding your goals. The next thing that I want you to say is what will you be saying to yourself? So I say control your chatterbox. One of the biggest obstacles to us achieving our goal is what is in our head. What is our head telling us? How is our head limiting our belief in ourselves. So ask yourself this. Now, concerning this goal that you've written down, what will you be saying to yourself? What is yourself saying to you? Is yourself telling you now that you're not able to do this? Are you doubting what you've written down? And what is it? What are those doubts, right? Is it 2, 3, 4, 5? Write them down because you want to see those doubts. You really want to build a relationship with those doubts. You really want to understand what the doubt is. So if your doubt is saying, if you want to learn how to swim and you define success as leaving your house and getting to a swimming pool and actually getting into a water, is your chatterbox saying, oh, but you don't have transportation, or you don't have, there's no pool next to your house, or you don't even know how to swim, or you are even afraid of water? What is your chatterbox telling you? Write this thing down. And what will that enable you to do? This chatterbox that is in your head, what will that enable you to do regarding your goals? Will it push you to go out, confront your goal, or will you stop you from achieving your goals? I want you to think about that because it's very important to know how your relationship with your chatterbox is affecting or encouraging you to achieve your goals. So now that we've moved away from that, now let's go back to the goals and let's ask ourselves, what will you have that you don't have now? So if you go for this goal, whether it's to get a job, what will you have that you don't have now? And like I said, what will you define as success, right? Is it that what you don't have now is you don't have the confidence to apply for a job, right? And now what you have now is that you've actually applied for a job. Maybe what you don't have before is being able to leave your house and go near the water. But now what you have is you find yourself inside a swimming pool, even if you cannot swim, right? So define what is it that you have now? What is it that you will have that you don't have at this particular moment that we're having this webinar? Now, I want you to be very honest with yourself, right? And don't go too far. Don't go 6 months. Don't go 12 months. Don't even go 9 months. I want you to imagine 3 months from now. If we remove all the obstacles, what will you achieve, right? And so all obstacles are removed and you have achieved this. What do you see? Can you see this goal being achieved? How does that feel? And what can you hear? Don't forget that we talk about your chatterbox. What can you hear? Now, this is very important because what I'm trying to let you do is to visualize. If you visualize what success is, if you can see it, like they say, if you can dream it, you can be it, right? If you can see it, if you can feel it, if you can hear it, then it can motivate you to get in there. So what are you seeing? What are you hearing? What are you feeling regarding this? Can you write them down? Can you visualize them? And don't overthink, right? Don't overthink them. Just write them down the way that you can feel them. And based on what you can see, right? What new elements are in place? So do you see yourself in a swimming pool, swimming from one end to another? I will share my own personal experience about swimming pool with you. I didn't know how to swim until about 2 years, until about 3 years ago, just before COVID. And I wanted to swim. I wanted to swim because I just don't like the idea that I see a swimming pool and I would not be able to swim. But the other thing is that I wanted to swim because there is a general belief that Black people don't know how to swim. And I think that the third thing is that I want to be able to learn how to swim just in case I find myself in a situation where my life depends on my ability to swim. And I think the fourth thing is that I have developed a intellectual relationship with swimming, in the sense that I see swimming as a process and not as the end of it all. The ability to be able to move your hand, move your body, because in swimming, you move the complete from your head to your toe, you move every part of your body. And I see it as a process of allowing myself to be free. And so what I started seeing was like, I define what that success is, for me to be able to move from one end to another. And it doesn't matter how I do it. I just want to be able to move. But my chatterbox was that Black people can't swim, or what if you get drowned, or you're going to disgrace yourself where other people are. And I remembered I went to my gym and I paid for a swim instructor. And there were other people in the swimming pool. They were just racing and going back and forth. And I was just there struggling to keep afloat. And my chatterbox was like, I told you, I told you. But what I could do was I could see myself being able to swim. I could hear myself that I can do it. And I feel that I was able to swim from one end to another. And now, whether I though I wouldn't go and compete in the Olympics, I now know how to swim because I started seeing new elements in place that were not there before. And it helps me to be able to visualize this. So I'm going to pause a little bit. I can see a question in the question box. Okay, no, that's from Judith. That's a comment from Judith. I'm going to pause a little bit here just for a few seconds while I drink water, but I want you to take in some of the things that I've said because I want you to breathe in and breathe out and take into consideration some of the things that I have said here now. So the next slide is reality, right? So we're gonna go into reality now. And reality simply means, what do you have now in relation to your goal? So you wanted to save £100 at the end of this year, but what do you have now? Do you have a job? Do you have a means of income? Do you have the potential to be able to save that money? So that is what we are going to look at. So the goal is this, right? You have set your goal. You've highlighted this is what you want to do this year, that one thing. So my question to you, what is happening at the moment to your goal for this year? Right? As you're thinking about this goal, what is happening to it this moment, right? Whatever it is that you said, I want you to ask yourself that question. Now, what is happening to that goal as of now in relation to what you want to achieve with your goal? How important is this to you? How important is this to you, what is happening now, right? What is happening now regarding your goal right now? How important is that thing to you? Because if that thing is not important, you can cross it out. It's a distraction. And it goes back to what I was saying about the chatterbox. If something is going on in your head and it's not really important to you, right? If you're questioning yourself and it's not really important to you what is going on, then it becomes a chatterbox and you don't want to get control by that. So ask yourself that question. What is happening now in relation to the goal that I've set for myself? And how important is what is happening now in relation to that goal? The thing is, on a scale of 1 to 10, if an ideal situation is 1, is 10, right? What number are you now? So if you say, I want to learn how to swim, can you evaluate yourself at this moment? Are you 1, not being able to swim at all? Or are you 10, a great swimmer? If it says that I want to read 6 books, right? Ideally look at yourself. Where am I now? On a scale of 1 to 10, I know that, I can only possibly read 4 books, right? So grade yourself on where, ideally, what is your situation and how can you cope with your situation? And I think that is extremely important in checking your reality. And this is what happens with setting goals for New Year resolution. We say, oh, I want to do this, but we are not checking with ourselves. Can I really do this? Do I have the resources to be able to do this? Do I have the time to be able to do this? Is this thing best for me? Am I best for doing this thing, right? And now if you put a number to it, maybe you've given yourself 1 or you're giving yourself 2. I want you to think about it and visualize it, going back to what I said. What number would you like this to be in 3 months? So if you've given yourself 1 and you said, in 3 months, I want to be very honest with myself and I want it to be in 3 or in 2 or in 4. What does that mean, right? Does that mean that in 3 months, I want to be able to make sure that at least I pick up a book to read? And this goes back to being kind with yourself. Because if you're not kind with yourself, you will put yourself under pressure and set yourself up to fail. So where realistically do you want to be? At what point, what grade, do you want to give yourself in 3 months? Now, this particular number you've given yourself, I wanted to take a moment to think about it. How do you feel about this number? Do you think this is the right number for you? I really want you to think deeply about it. Do you feel that in 3 months you can be at this number, knowing what this number means for you? So what are you doing that takes you towards your goal? So what are the things that you're doing now or you want to be doing in 3 months that will take you towards your goal? So if you say you want to read 3 books, what are you going to do? Some people will say, oh, I will buy a book. Some other people will say, you know what, I will look for a reading group because a reading group will encourage me to read. Some people will say, oh, I will start going to the library. Some people will say, I will try to read 10 pages in a day. What will you do? When you say you're looking for a job, how are you going to do that? Some people will say, I will start going to networking events where I can get a job. Some people will say, I will register on a job website. Some people say, I will put out CVs and cover letters. I will put together my CV and cover letters. Some people will say, I will go looking to get a mentor. So what are you doing that will take you towards your goal in 2022? It is important for you to set those things out because it's okay for you to say, oh, I want to get a job, right? And set it as a New Year resolution. But when you don't have realistic steps towards how you're going to achieve that goal, then you're setting yourself up to fail. So again, I'm going to pause a little bit and let you think about this, really think about this while I go into the next one. And I'm sorry if I'm zooming through, but if anybody has got any question, like I said, please put your question in the chat box below or wait to the end and I'll be able to answer all of your questions. If you are watching on Facebook and you have any question, please I implore you to put your question in the comment section on Facebook and I'll be able to see that as well. So let's get on going. And so the next thing is we want to look at our options, right? We want to look at what are the options that we have. And this is very important because when we set our goals, we don't look at, we set the goals, we look at where we are at the moment, but we don't look at the other options that might be available for us in achieving whatever it is that we want to do. So the first question is, what could you do about your goal, right? What is it that you can do? Now, these are the options that you have as a person. What can you do? Knowing your smarts, you want to know your strength, you want to know everything. What can you do as a person, right? What realistically can you do as a person? What are the ideas that you have about these goals? What ideas do you have realistically about these goals, right? You have to ask yourself that question. Now you've set this goal, what alternatives do you have? Now, one of the biggest ways we set ourselves up to fail is not knowing that we do have alternatives. And we surely do have alternatives. And we need to ask ourselves, what other alternatives do we have regarding this goal? So if I said I want to save 100 pounds, what are the alternatives? Can I save 50 pounds? Or can I even save 200 pounds? What are the alternatives we have? And we're not saying that, the alternative becomes the goal, but we're saying that the alternative helps you to understand that, you don't have to force yourself onto this goal. You have options and you can bank on your options. Is there anything else you can do? There are other things that you can do, right? If there were anything else, what would it be? If there were anything else, what would it or what would they be? So considering this option that you have now, this goal that you have, is there something else you can consider as your goal? And if there's anything else, what will it be? If you set out the ways that you want to do them, are there any ways else that you can do them? If you have those things, what would those options be? And now let us talk about what has worked for you in the past. We were told that experience is the best teacher. And this is a fact. We know ourselves. We know what we've done in the past that has worked for us. And we know what in the past that has not worked for us. But you're going to ask yourself this question: what has worked for me in the past? Because being able to reconnect with what has worked for you in the past will really help you to tap into your strength and know that, okay, I was able to do this, I was able to do this, I was able to do this. Which part of that can I bring into this new experience I'm about to explore? So when I was learning to swim, one of the things my coach said is, do you know how to ride a bike? I said, yes. He said, okay, so when you're in the water, move your leg as if you're riding a bike. Just move your leg like that. And I asked why. He said, because you know how to ride a bike, so you can do that, right? So I mean, from there, I was using my leg, being able to ride a bike to be able to prepare myself. And when I was okay with that, he said, now stretch out your legs and move your leg. And so he used the experience that I have to help me to be able to tap into the new experience, because that has worked for me in the past. So you have to ask yourself, what has worked very well for you in the past? Now, what step could you take? So starting from today, what are the steps that you want to take, right? Do you just want to write this thing down, leave them and come back to them in a few hours? Is there something you need to do now? Again, remember, be kind to yourself. Don't rush yourself. Don't force yourself. Take it just as your gut is telling you. Now, this is very important. Who could help you with this? And I mentioned this earlier. So you want to really think about who amongst your friends, amongst your colleagues, amongst your loved one can help you with this goal? Who can be your accountability buddy? Who can check in with you interval to know if you're doing this? Who can you do these things with, right? If you want to learn how to swim, do you want to ask some of your friends also who want to learn how to swim so that you go to the swimming pool together? If you want to start going to the gym, do you want to find somebody you can go to the gym with? If you want to start reading books, do you want to find somebody you can be reading buddy with? If you're looking for a job, do you want to find a group of other people who are looking for a job whereby you encourage and inspire each other to be able to get this done? Who could help you with this? And aside from doing something with other people, do you want to get mentors? Do you want to get a coach? Do you want to get someone who can hold your hand as you're going along the way and help you to get there? And also about information about these things, right? Where could you find out the information that you need to help you get a job, to help you get a gym, to find a swimming pool, to help you read a book? You have all of these things online. You can, go online and find out loads of information, but there are also different ways where you can get information. And so how could you do that, right? How will you do that? Will you post, will you make a post on Twitter, on Facebook that I'm looking for this? For example, I'm in the process of opening a business at the moment, and I'm not sure whether I should use .com or .org. And I've gone online, I've searched for information over and over about this. I still don't know whether it's .com or .org. So I went on LinkedIn this morning and I posted it on LinkedIn and I said, guys, is it .org or is it .com, right? And people are giving me advice on, oh, it doesn't really matter. Some people say it matters. At the end of the day, I will have to make the decision. But what I'm doing is that I'm going out there to get other people's perspective about things. So never be ashamed to find information and never be ashamed to ask for information. Some people will laugh at you. Some people will say it's stupid. Some people will have their opinion. But don't forget, there will also be some people who will provide the answer that you need. And that answer is very important in whatever you are doing. So I'm going to pause a little bit again, just so that you can take in whatever it is that I'm saying. And this can be quite helpful for you. And then we'll go to the last one. Now, finally, I think the last thing is will, right? Now, I am not sure. I don't think my thing is showing on Facebook, but if it's showing on Facebook, that's fine, but I just don't think that it's showing on Facebook. But I hope that everybody, please let me know if you can see my slide. Please let me know if you can see my slide. Lucky, can you see my slide?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I don't think it's visible on Facebook. But that's fine. So the next one is will, right? What will you do differently, right? And this is why I asked a question about options. Now that you want to do these things and you found that you've been doing the things the way you've been doing it, what will you do differently? Now that you know what you are best at, what can you do differently, right? If you want to be in a relationship and you've been on Grindr and you've been trying to find relationship on Grindr, what will you do differently? Will you go to a dating networking event? If you're looking for a job and you've been sending applications and you're not hearing anything, will you think of actually going to a job fair and talking to employers face to face and asking questions? Or will you think of going on LinkedIn and sending messages to the company you've applied to and hoping to talk to somebody who works in the company and build a relationship with them? If you want to read a book, will you try to read it softly? Will you want to get a group of people to read it with? What are you going to do differently this year that you've not done before? How will you do that, right? How will you do that? Will you do that face to face? Will you do that online? Think about how you intend to do that. And the interesting thing is with online, we're building more and more relationships. So how do you build relationship online or offline? When do you think you can do this, right? And this is also very important. And I stated this at the beginning of this presentation. When do you think you can do this, right? Because if you know that you can start today, then get up and going. But if you know that you need time for you to really, really think about it and build a strategy, also think about it. Again, I'm going to go back to the word that I said, be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. Don't put yourself under unnecessary pressure. When do you think you can do this? And I guess the next question is, sorry about that. Sorry about my laptop going off. Who do you think you would talk to, right? So as you have on your paper, I want you to really think. I'm going to give us a minute here because I think this is very important. And I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to time myself and I'm going to be quiet for a minute. And the question is, who do you think you will talk to? I want you to list as many names as possible. And don't worry too much about it not being realistic. So don't worry about it too much, but try to be realistic, right? Don't say you're going to talk to Barack Obama when you don't even know Barack Obama. So this plan that you have, who do you think you want to talk about this plan with? I'm giving everybody a minute to think about this, and the minute starts now. Okay, so you have this list. I want you to go back and work on them even after this webinar and ask yourself this question. So I want to get a job. Who do I think I can talk to as regarding this, right? Is it my uncle? Is it my best friend? Don't worry, even if you talk to this person and they don't get back, right? Because it's not everybody that you will talk to that will be able to help you. And don't worry about whether this person can help you, because the interesting thing about life is somebody that will not be able to help you to get a job might be able to talk to somebody who can help you to get a job. or can ask you some questions that can open up doors of opportunities for you. So who do you think you are able to talk to when it comes to this? The next question is that where will you go? What event, activities, places do you think you can go to make your goal for this year come true? Do you want to go to do you want to go to a poolside? Do you want to join an online group? Do you want to, there's so many things you need to ask yourself. Where can you go to make this goal achievable? Is there anything you need to put in place before now? Right. So if you say you want to read a book and your house is very, very noisy, have you found a very quiet place where you can retrieve to your own safe place, your own reading place to start reading and enjoying what you're reading? If you say you're going to get a job, are you going to look at your CV? Are you going to write a cover letter? Are you going to get somebody to help you look into it? If you say you're going to you're going to learn how to swim, and the swimming pool is far from you, do you have enough resources for you to be able to do this? So think about it. Is there anything you need to put in place before you achieve your goal? Just don't rush into it. Look at yourself and look at anything you need to put in place. How committed are you to taking that action on a scale of 1 to 10? So the things that you need to put in place, right? How committed are you to put those things in place? 1 being I'm not ready, and 10 meaning I'm good to go. Be very honest with yourself. Because if you say it's 1, I'm not ready, then the point is that you need to revisit whether this really is the goal that you can achieve this year. But if it's 4, then you still need to think about it. If it's 6, then get up and go, because then you're ready to do it. So how committed are you to achieving your goal or taking the steps to get you to achieve your goal this year? And finally, what will it take for you to commit to that? This is about the reward that will encourage you. Be as selfish as possible, but please, I encourage you to be healthy. What will it take for you to commit? For me, what it will take to commit is that I can go into a swimming pool and I can swim and I can be proud of myself. So that reward for me was encouraging enough to get me into the water. For some people, it could be when I read, I find purpose with myself. So I want to read, I want to gain more knowledge. For you who are looking for a job, it's because you know you're going to get a job and you're going to have income. So that is a reward. And you have to be selfish, right? You really have to be selfish with yourself. But please try and make sure that you're being selfish. It's also you being very healthy with yourself. So I just want to quickly go over this again. Don't forget to set goals. Excuse me. Don't forget to set goals and make sure, I'm sorry, let me drink water. Don't forget to set goals and make sure that your goals are realistic. You want to look at what are the options that you have regarding, we want to look at what are your realistic situation, the reality that you find yourself at the moment, what is real for you, what is not real for you in regards to your goal. What are the other options that you have when it comes to this goal? And how will you do them? What do you need to make you do them? What do you need to get you from 0 to 10 to be able to achieve your goal? And so that's the end of my presentation. I want to say thank you to everyone. So if you have any question, I'm happy to take question now. You can use your question in the chat box below. And then we can take questions. Sylvia or